Hello. So welcome to your July 2020 month ahead forecast. I call these crystal collective card readings. And if you're watching this one, it's because you selected Labradorite. So what I like to do for these is I go ahead and I do the reading physically, lay all the cards out prior to filming. That way you don't have to sit and watch me shuffle or stare off into space while I'm like receiving a vision or a message. So I'm just gonna, if you may see me looking down at my notes, I'm just going to kind of now recap the entire reading that I just did for you. But first, before I get into that, I'm going to tell you a little bit about the crystal that I selected. So these crystals, when I do crystal collective card readings, I sort of ask the universe which crystal they think that the people who select this video need. So Labradorite was just kind of thrown at me by the universe, by my guides, whatever. And you chose it, so now let's talk about how it applies to you. I'm going to be honest, I chose it too. So I always choose one before I do these so that I can get my own month ahead reading without having to do a separate month ahead reading. And I chose it too. And I will tell you that there are some spots in this reading where I, personally found it maybe a little hard to hear. I don't know. Tarot doesn't pull any punches, okay? Tarot's not like when you get a mediumship reading with me and it's a lot of like, I don't know, I guess in that case it depends on the spirit that we're connecting with and their attitude. But tarot doesn't hold back. Tarot will tell you like it is, and it's not afraid. So I found a couple of these messages like, okay, yes, spirit. Like that's how I felt about it a little bit. But we'll be fine. Let's go through this together. Okay, so Labradorite in particular, it's also been called spectralite, and when it's mixed with white stone, people often call it rainbow moonstone. So rainbow moonstone wasn't necessarily a thing on its own, and then the Labradorite combined with the white rock to create the rainbow moonstone. So it's kind of the two blended together. Now, these stones originally were harvested or found in Canada, in Labrador. But legend has it that they were forged through a blend of fire and ice. And that is why Labradorite is so beautiful, because it looks like the northern lights that you can see up there. They say that it's, a piece of the northern lights, a piece of the aurora borealis, which really is the exact coloring of the stone. If you've ever seen one in person, they're pretty beautiful. They're really, really good for your crown chakra, and the stone helps you to sort of like deepen your spiritual connection. It helps you connect to the divine guidance that's available to you, your spirit guides, your higher self. But it feels to me more sort of just like the higher realms in general, like heaven, if that's what you call it, if that's what you believe in. It also is really great for helping you to expand your consciousness in that direction, right? Because there's so much beyond our reality, beyond what we can see. You keep seeing me do this because that's the way that it radiates out from your physical body. That's the way the aura shoots out up to, the heavens. That connection is like that. So I keep automatically doing this. So Labradorite is really, really good for sort of helping you reach those new levels of consciousness, expand your aura to accept more new information from the universe that's available to us. And it really helps you create a clearer pathway to do that. So that's what Labradorite is, what I like to use it for and what it's really good for. Okay. So while I was shuffling, before I got to, even flipping the cards, I was getting some messages for you guys. I always do. And the first one that I got actually really made me laugh. And I suspect that I already know who it is. A friend of mine who's likely to purchase one of these. But Spirit was kind of giggling with me because I want to say there's a feminine sort of guide around. she made me feel as though one of you only picked this reading, Crystal, because the name reminded you of a dog. And Spirit is like, that's so cute. Spirit said that. Spirit was like, you're so cute. Another message that I was getting while I was shuffling is that some of you are or have been kind of having a bad flare up of your anxiety. And I was like, okay, Spirit, because it's me. That's me. And I was getting, clearly it was not just me. It was clearly a collective message that was meant for everybody. And I want to share this with you because I know I can relate to it, which means probably many of you can. I felt like there was like a bad flare up of anxiety, and Spirit just wants to remind you, me, us, to stop and reflect. Okay, so the second you get to that place where you can feel yourself spiking and you feel like you're going to snap at somebody, in my case, my kids, Spirit is encouraging us all to stop and do whatever it is that we have to do to prevent ourselves from acting, and to just take, a couple of seconds to remember it's not us, it's anxiety, it's not real, we're okay, we're safe, everything is good. So do whatever you have to do in that moment to kind of stop yourself from being reactive. Pause, take some deep breaths. What I'm particularly seeing is breath work, but do whatever it is that works for you. But you've got to stop the momentum of that anxious energy, and just for a minute to give yourself the space to think more clearly, more thoughtfully, more lovingly. My kids are driving me nuts and I'm trying to work. I'm sitting at my desk trying to work and I'm like, stop yelling, you're driving me crazy. Spirit just wants me to be like, can you please quiet down? It's just that like moment to not react. So that's what I was getting for you when I shuffled. Also, last thing, as I was shuffling, is I feel like some of you were or are or going to be really, really connected with the angels this month. Like I'm seeing a lot of angels surrounding someone. Like divinely supported, divinely guided. And Spirit is encouraging you to request that if that's something that you want, and then to be on the lookout for signs. You can specifically ask for the sign that you want from your angels, or another sign that you may notice that you're seeing more frequently, if that's true for you, if you're someone who's surrounded by angels a lot lately, is white feathers. White feathers appear when angels are near. Okay, so let's get to the cards. Because it's a month ahead spread, I always ask some specific questions of the cards that I'm pulling. And so the very first card that I pulled for you is to represent sort of the energy of the month, the feel of the month, what vibe this month is going to be bringing to you. And I pulled the Eight of Wands. Now, I do want to warn you that the imagery in this deck is not always traditional. So if you're someone who reads tarot, don't be surprised by that. But the Eight of Wands, is traditionally, I don't know, as soon as I flipped it, it was like boom, 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 go. Like it's this like fast, quick paced, like momentous energy, like let's go, boom, boom, boom. That's what I kept hearing. Let's go. Like action paced. And I feel like some of you, I'm getting this message that like some of you, Spirit's like, this is what you asked for. Like you're feeling really overwhelmed by that fast pace and how everything, oh my God, it's all happening at once. Whoa, I'm a little overwhelmed. Spirit, some of you wants to remind you that this is what you asked for. This is what you asked for. That's what I keep hearing. Sorry, I'm just looking and listening for clarification to see if there's anything more on that. Spirit wants to remind you that these things are happening for you. These things are not happening to you. And though the momentum might feel a little bit crazy right now, Spirit wants to remind you and reassure you that a rest period will come. that while you're in this period, this space of rapid expansion, you need to go with it. Don't fight it, roll with it, right? The more that you sort of fight it and like resist the wave, the more uncomfortable it will feel for you, because this rapid, like fast-paced, action-packed month that's coming in for you, it's full of positive building momentum, okay? For some of you, it might be career related. I see that. Building your business. For some of you, I feel like it has to do with catching your stride in terms of like a new goal. And it feels, for some of you, it feels fitness related. Not necessarily even weight loss, but, maybe healthy eating, or like if there's a goal that you had in mind physically that you wanted to accomplish by the end of the summer. I feel like Spirit is encouraging you to just go with it while you feel that momentum and that energy to go, boom, 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 boom. Let's get this done. Do it. Because eventually it's going to come back around and you're going to feel like resting and pooping out is kind of like what I'm hearing. You're going to feel like settling down a little bit and taking a rest. So while this momentous energy is in the air, keep up with it. Do it. Push, push, push. Okay. So then I asked the cards, what's something that we should be releasing this month? And at first I was a little like, because the card that I pulled is the Magician card. Now, ordinarily, I love getting this card, right? Because in general, it means that you are in a position with a lot of manifesting power, that you right now have the ability to bring the things that you want to see in your reality into your reality, that you've got it. But I'm like, Spirit, I asked for something to release. And right then and there, I got the message that you've got to be crystal clear about what it is that you really, truly, authentically want right now. I'm getting this message that there are several of you that are out there trying to manifest things and trying to pursue things that really aren't meant for you. And it's like, for some of you, there's this place in your heart that you know it. You know that. But it seems like the right thing to do, and it seems like the right path, and maybe it was a brilliant idea you had that you did at the time feel really, really inspired by, but that inspiration has sort of waned, and Spirit wants to remind you that it's okay to let that go, okay? This feels really strongly to me like this is a message to not manifest the stuff that you don't want. Even if like, oh yeah, that'd be nice. Like, but, whatever. If there's not something that you feel really, really passionately about, don't put your time and energy into it this month. There's a time and a place for that, and sometimes manifesting things with a lack of attachment is actually really helpful. But in this instance, Spirit is telling me that you need to get really crystal clear and honest with yourself about what it is that you want, because some of you are pursuing things that you truly don't want anymore. And I feel also like others of you sort of aren't sure, like you're wavering, going back and forth. I think I want this, but maybe I want this. I don't know. And it feels to me like this is bigger. Like maybe you're kind of like that in general. Maybe that's like an issue that you have, is you're a little bit wishy-washy and have trouble making decisions. But Spirit just wants to really, really remind you this month, to let go of feeling the need to fight for things and go after things that aren't totally aligned with you just because you feel like you should, or because you wanted it once, or because it's other people's expectation of you. Okay? Okay, card 3. I asked the deck, what is something that you should focus on this month? Like where should we put our attention and intentions this month? And the card I pulled is actually pretty interesting. I pulled the Justice card, but I pulled it reversed. I don't know, you probably can't see this, but I love the artwork in this deck. It's the 8 Coins, I think, Tattoo Tarot. I have a couple different tattoo decks. Okay, so when we pull justice reversed, let's sit back and really reflect on where we can take personal accountability of ourselves. So that's why kind of at the beginning of this, I said this reading's a little bit, this reading's a little bit of a doozy. Like, it's going to give you a reality check, right? Where so far we've already got, what do you really want? Come on, let's be honest about what you really want. And like, stop fighting the momentum and go for it. These are challenges, We want tarot readings that tell us we're doing great and we're going to be amazing. And that's sort of not the energy that we're getting here, but we need to remember that this energy is energy that's going to help us grow and expand this month, okay? So when we talk about the Justice card in reverse, she just really wants to remind you that you've got to take personal accountability. You've got to reflect on the places where you were wrong, where you made mistakes, where you can do better. This is not the time for you to point fingers. Even if someone did something horrible to you, I'm not saying victim blame in any way. I'm not saying, oh, she shouldn't have been wearing that kind of ridiculous stuff. I'm talking about, think about where you went wrong and how you can use that to improve for next time. This is not, one of those crazy victim blaming situations. This is, I'm not talking about really serious issues where you were a victim here. So please don't think that. I feel like Spirit just jumped in with this message that I don't have in my notes because it wanted me to clarify and make sure that you understand that that's not what I'm trying to say. If someone did something horrible to you and you were truly a victim, I'm certainly not asking you to hold blame for that. This is not about holding the blame for something that's not your fault. This is about owning up to the parts where you could have chosen differently or could have done better, so that going forward, you can improve. So that going forward, things can be better for you. So that going forward, you have the tools to fix it and not end up in that situation again, right? We've got to take this month, it's really time for you to take a good, long, hard look at the people, the situations in your life that are just they're not fulfilling you. They're not making you happy. They're not where you hoped they would be yet. Say even, for example, you run a business and you haven't hit, your financial goal yet. Take a good, honest look at that and think, okay, what do I need to do differently? Because clearly I'm dropping the ball somewhere. Maybe it's my money mindset. Maybe it's my, whatever. You don't need to hear my business problems. But I just feel like it's important to remember to step back and think about, where we can improve in situations. For some of you, I do feel like this relates a lot to the current social justice movements that we have going on, because I was seeing very clearly a white woman crying, and it was like shame. It was total shame. Just not, just realizing the harm that she's unintentionally caused to the Black community. And so I think that for some of you, this card is really, really going to be about unlearning a lifetime of learning so that you have the space to relearn things in a better way. Okay? So this is the intention and the attention that Spirit wants you to focus on. Accepting where we are and where we've been in the past, and moving forward with personal accountability so that we can heal it, fix it, correct it. Okay. And then the last two cards that I always pull for a month ahead spread are just 2 action steps. Here are a couple of suggestions from Spirit of what you can do. Let's go out and do things to make it better. The first card that I pulled was the 10 of Wands reversed. And this made me kind of laugh a little bit for a couple of different reasons. Number one, I pulled it upright. And then my kids interrupted me. And I got frazzled. So I put all the cards back in the deck because I felt like my energy was like, bleh. Walked away for a couple minutes, came back and started over. Reshuffled, pulled it again. only this time I pulled it reversed. Second reason this made me laugh, I pulled this exact same card in this exact same position in the exact same question in a different reading that I did. And so I feel like this is probably kind of a universal theme here. But so it's the 10 of Wands reversed. This card is really all about you carrying the weight of the burden. Traditionally, the imagery, this is a crow here, but traditionally the imagery, well, reversed, that's what it's about, right? Traditionally, the imagery is of a person carrying all these sticks on their back. It's like so heavy and they're alone and they're dragging it all. And I'm seeing someone here who's like really exhausted. They feel like they have to do it all themselves. They're sad, they're discouraged, they're lonely. And mostly they're just really tired, like both emotionally and physically. I would guess at least one of you is either a single mom or is like got the complete and total burden of the parenting right now. Because I just saw a woman, like the total stereotype of the mom, today's modern mom with a messy bun and too much coffee and covered in stains, and the house is a disaster and there's children screaming everywhere. I see her and I said, you know, you're just really emotionally and physically tired. And I saw her go, yeah, no shit. So unlike the other reading though, here I feel like part of the message is that we're talking about the weight of unhealed trauma. We're not just talking about the physical weight of everything that's going on for us right now. In this particular reading, I feel like we're also talking about the weight of unhealed trauma. Now, it is Mercury retrograde, and we do have a full moon and an eclipse coming up this weekend. So sorry, I think I just heard my kid call me. I got a little distracted. So the Mercury retrograde energy is going to cause a lot of things that you might have thought that you had buried, you might have thought that you dealt with, you might have thought that you were okay with. It's going to cause some places within us that are kind of dark to resurface, to sort of shine a light on those. Retrograde's not only about technological issues here, right? It's about communication issues too. Maybe this will be brought about by a misunderstanding. You said something, you meant it one way, that person perceived it in a different way. Now the two of you are in a fight because you're just not understanding each other. That's really common during retrograde. Happened to me yesterday. You know, I'm having this argument. I'm like, that's not what I meant, you know? So that's really normal for that time. And I'm feeling right now that some of this stuff is really like deep for you. Like there are maybe childhood trauma issues, or some pretty serious trauma issues for some of you that you're carrying. Like maybe it's like feeling heavier this month for you for some reason. It's like it's rearing its head and you just feel really burdened by it. And so Spirit is telling me, this is the analogy they gave me, you don't need to like put all your trauma in a backpack and carry it around with you all the time. We can deal with things, heal things as best as we can, and then move on. But they have layers, right? It's like an onion. You know, you peel the first couple of layers and you think, whoo, I feel so much better. That's great. I feel so much lighter and smaller and free, and I healed it. And then something will come up for you months later down the road where you're like, I thought I healed that. Why is that happening to me right now? And you don't have to like carry those burdens around with you all the time, you know? Allow yourself to have moments where you feel free, even if it's not a full-time feeling of freedom. Allow yourself to have moments where you lean into the joy and where you let go. And if you need help and if you need support to deal with it and to feel better, then please, by all means, get that support. Run out and ask for help. They do therapy online now. You can do it over FaceTime. Call a friend. Just seek help, because for whoever this is, you know, there are some of you, there are different levels that are happening here with the people that are watching this in terms of the trauma and the burden. And there's at least one of you watching where I feel like this burden is really serious. And so I hope that you get help. The rest of you, it feels like normal every day. You know, my life wasn't perfect and I'm dealing with this kind of stuff. And just like Spirit's like, do the best you can. Just do the best you can. Okay, and then the last card, whew, I'm a talker. The last card is the Knight of Pentacles. So this is a great card. This is actually like the apprentice of the deck. And their encouragement for you is just to keep practicing. Keep going. Nothing has to be perfect to get started, okay? I tell everybody like meditation, yoga, automatic writing. These things are all practices. We're not going to have an end goal in sight where we're like, yes, I can do yoga now. Yes, I can meditate now. You have to just keep practicing, and you're going to have some days that are good, and you're going to have some days that are not as good, and you're going to have some days where you feel on top of the world, and you're going to have other days where you're like, wow, I suck at this. And whatever this is for you, Spirit wants you to just keep practicing, right? You're not quite there yet, like, expert, but you're close. You're doing an awesome job. You're doing great, sweetie. Just keep going. That's the energy that Spirit's giving me with this card. It's like, you don't have to be perfect. Just keep doing it. Keep doing it, keep doing it, keep doing it, and you're going to get better. Okay. That was your Crystal Collective card reading for the Labradorite crystal. And I hope that you enjoyed that. Would love to hear your feedback. If you like the idea of a reading, but you weren't quite sure, you've never worked with me before, hopefully this gave you kind of a good taste of what I'm like. And keep in touch. And I'll talk with you soon. Have an awesome July. Thanks. Bye.